I'm still open to ideas and input, and I'm not 100% feeling way, but right now I'd be okay with, backing up Marcia, because I would just like to get this done and let the people know this is the direction it's going in. So.
Yeah, because this is also the other CS thing. Depends. We don't want to do anything until we do this one.
Yeah, the religious language.
The religious languages, because we don't want to.
That's fine. Yeah, we can definitely put something together.
Can I just get clarity here? Because if I'm understanding what you're saying that it's the mixed-use structure that is the primary focus, and beyond that,
I'm happy with the way that they have it proposed.
is the way it was proposed, which was their recommendation.
If that was put to a vote a week from tonight, I would vote yes.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah, I think the primary concern, what I think the primary concern of everyone is the character of the village, and maintaining that character along the 70s. And that is a concern of ours. Even, we put all these options together, and kind of at the end, it was felt badly at the end is kind of saying, well, if you combine these you can have this development if you start combining parcels. But if you start combining parcels, you will have this development.
That's right. Which your original recommendation was for the mixed-use structure.
Yeah, that is consistent with the village character. Right. You want, one of your main goals is, of course, to supplement your tax base, and commercial development is going to give you the best option to do that.
Done.
May I ask two questions? Marcia, could you give some definition to what you mean by overwhelm the area? Are you talking about aesthetics? Are you talking about services, transportation?
Talking about density, I'm talking about scale of development.
The look of it, or the use?
So you can't isolate one from the other, Joel. If you're talking about zoning and you're talking about building, there is a scale that is proportionate to a particular area. I'm talking about the scale and the density. But if you really have questions, I really think that they should be framed at, not that I have any problem ever answering any of your questions, Joel, but if we're trying to come to a conclusion and get opinions from the public about what it is they'd like to see, tell her what you'd like to say.
Well, I'm trying to understand what you and the board are proposing here, and your concerns. If your concern is services, for example, transportation or traffic, then you're not going to be in favor of anything taller than, for example, 2 or 3 stories. You're not going to be interested in anything that might have some height to it, which might fit, for example, the north side, where you don't have
is that what you're saying you'd like to see?
I don't particularly, having lived in urban areas, have any problem with elevation. That may not be everybody's opinion, but it's certainly mine. We have this very expensive sanitary waste treatment facility. We need additional density to bring that up to capacity, and the only way we're going to do it on the footprint the village has now is to go up. We're about as built out as we can be horizontally. So I personally have no problem thinking in terms of taller structures in the village. Sooner or later, we all know it's going to happen. It may not happen, but sooner or later it's likely to happen. And it seems it certainly would fit that corridor. You're not in the central part of the downtown. It is on the way in. You've got the elevation of that ridge behind it, which it would match. And it certainly, by going up, makes it more economically feasible for a developer. You can get higher density on the same footprint. The other question I had was with regard to, all this discussion so far tonight has been about residential. And I'm wondering if there are ways in which the corridor can be opened up to greater use for business use as well, if you have a mixed-use corridor. Are there ways in which it can be opened up, made more developable, more attractive to a developer for business use?
I think it already allows most forms of retail, not all forms of retail.
All forms of
but
retail.
But that's not all business use. What about light manufacturing? What about something involved with intellectual property. There are things other than retail that are business use.
There are commercial uses there already, aren't there?
Yes, there are retail and commercial and office uses up to the corridor.
Yeah.
Are there ways in which the bulk requirements of the setbacks could be modified for business uses that make good planning sense, but might make it more attractive for developers?
You're just suggesting that they be opened up for industrial in that area?
I'm asking a question.
The bulk requirements in the CS district are not particularly restrictive. I believe that there is really no front setback or side setback requirements in that district. As with the mixed-use buildings, they're right close to the street and right next to each other. The building can pretty much occupy almost 80% of the building, of the lot.
Does your planning take into consideration the architectural district requirements?
The architectural district requirements are an overlay, so change of the underlying zoning on the property would not affect the architectural overlay. So it's there regardless of what the village chooses to rezone the property that is underneath the overlay.
Because I know through my own personal experience in dealing with developers that the building to the front requirement is onerous and something that many developers would choose not to have.
Well, it gets back to the village board's discussion about the character of the area, really, and that their desire to really maintain that village character.
Well, I would just echo what Kyle said. I mean, my focus, I think all of us have come a ways in our desire here to expand what we originally talked about, and especially to allow the commercial uses that were permissible in the other zone. That was always my focus as well. And I think we've done that. Kristen and Stu have set forth those architectural requirements here in this memo. We've set that forth, and obviously I would like to take a look at then what residential uses, when you set forth a proposal as to what is permissible. I'd just be interested in looking at that, but I'd be ready to go forward this week too.
Okay.
Sure, I'll put something together. I'll put a draft of a use table together, which I actually have it. I'll put a draft of a use table together so that you can take a look at it and distribute it. You want to
Get it beforehand?
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I don't remember if we put together a local law on this or not, but we could start doing that too.
Yes, please.
I'm sure something exists somewhere. You've been talking about it for a while.
How many are there? I know there's a religious land use in OVH. I just wasn't sure if I did the CS one. I think that I did. At this point, it's really just listing the section block and lot of the parcels that are going to be rezoned. There's nothing else really to it.
Right.
So we need to add the daycare centers that you mentioned. You want to add those standalone. Right, we talked about that. Right? You said you want. Why do you think?
Maybe she thinks you're younger than you are.
Daycare centers in Greenwich?
No, we're talking about, I think she's shipped it over now. Did you ship it over to OBA?
No, I mean, we talked about at the last meeting, daycare centers, permitted, okay, I haven't looked with
No, you haven't. You did. Maybe you meant the OBH.
I don't know.
Okay, it's no,
All right,
we'll look back.
Put together a draft.
I know.
If you could, Kristen, and you and Stu can work with Mike if you do have to come up with a local law.
Sure.
Or if you have one, you have one. Okay, and then we'll look at it, and we'll review it, set up public hearing, and move along with this. Because the other one's dependent upon this one.
Just, I think we're done, we can ready to move on. I'm just curious, what was the third parcel? I know one is Joe Green's parcel, one is Paul's parcel, the car dealership. There's a third parcel that's more than 2 acres.
Yeah, this might be the one with the office on it, I think.
I'm just not sure which one it would be.
I think, yeah, this is there's like a strip of offices on it, like Michael Sandor Engineering, I think is right there.
It didn't jump out at me.
Okay.
All right.
With a long building?
Yeah.
Yeah. Green, where the long building is. That already has a long building.
Fairly new building, probably 15 years ago.
Right.
That's Swanson.
I think it's a main build home.
Swanson.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you mean.
Yes.
Yeah,